Hey guys, BigTuna here. I'm a PvP healer that plays Resto Shaman, Holy Priest, Holy Paladin, Mistweaver, and today I thought it'd be a pretty good video to try and break down some of these AWC games. Now, I love AWC. For me, my journey to become a better healer, it serves as a great learning opportunity for me, seeing some of the best, these legends of WoW PvP duking out, trying to, find ways to overcome each other is absolutely awesome. I mean, you have Waz, you have Raikou, you have Swapsy, you have Lontar in here, you have bloody Tony Farrell popping in, so it's great. It's a great learning opportunity for me. Now, for some people, this could be a bit kind of awkward to follow along, especially if you don't have general good insight on WoW PvP. You're a struggling healer, you're not really familiar with the game, you're hell a new player. It can be pretty hard to follow along with AWC. What are these guys commentating about? What am I even looking at? To you, could be just a bunch of clutter. So I can try my best to try and break down and make AWC a bit more understandable for you to consume. Now, note, I'm nowhere near as great as these guys. I mean, these guys are legends. I mean, it'll take me like 3 centuries in order to be anywhere near, to get a sliver of these guys' skill. So I know I'm not the best, but if I can try and make AWC a bit more understandable for, a wide majority of players that may not feel like they kind of are being attended to for AWC, then I can call that a job well done. So if you want to see more videos like this, hell, maybe even my coverage on the NA games that went live on on Friday, then leave a like rating down below. Maybe even chuck a subscribe my way if you're feeling super generous. It puts me into the algorithm, and hell, maybe even share this with a friend who might also enjoy this type of content. But enough rambling, let's get right into the video. So up first, we have Old and Bad and ULTIMA. Again, we're going to be focusing on the final round out of each of these matches. We have Tana, Resto Shaman, Nixie on the Sub Rogue. We have Frostfee on the Shadow Priest, and for ULTIMA, we have Netty on the Evoker, Smite on the BM Hunter, and Cassidy on the Feral Druid. Now, what are the real main differences between these comps? Well, we're going to be facing a lot of purges from the Dragon and the Hunter. Again, Dragons have a Scouring Flame that will purge off beneficial effects depending on how high they charge up their Fire Breath, so they could potentially get a quadruple Fire Breath purge on all targets that it hits. And this is every 30 seconds, so it gets a Resto Shaman, purging off all my Riptides, purging off all my Earth Shields, especially during my Ancestral Swiftness window and my Primordial Wave. It is brutal. Spending the next 10 seconds trying to reapply all my Hots, all my Earth Shields, it gets to the point where you literally can't recover. And a Hunter does not make this job any easier. They have a basically baby version of this purge, where they can purge 3 targets at once, removing a beneficial magic effect from each of those 3 targets. So, very annoying. We have a bit of kill pressure with Nixie and Frostfee, especially with the because we're running Siphoned as well. But we will have a bit more smothering pressure with the BM Hunter and Cassidy, because it's a very short map. It's a very close quarters map, so we're going to have a lot of uptime with the Hunter pets and the Feral Druid. Now, what are some things we can do here as the Resto Shaman? As a Resto Shaman, we can try and put the brakes on the BM Hunter and the Preservation Evoker through various means. Again, a BM Hunter needs to have their pets to move in order to actually reach a target to do damage. If their pets can't reach a target, guess what? They legit can't cast half of their spells. So, as a Resto Shaman, we can do our best to try and put the brakes on these guys. If our team is stable enough and we're able to go for this offense, this disruption that our class is widely known for, going for constant roots with Earthgrab Totem, looking for good static field totems. Again, boop, get all those Hunter pets together, especially during Call of the Wild, boop, port them away, stun on top of that. I love running Static Charge for BM Hunters, because you will get the max benefit off of Static Charge every single time, because BM Hunters will always have at least like 6 pets out throughout the entire game. So Static Charge will reduce the cooldown of my my Capacitator Totem by 5 seconds for each target struck, up to a maximum of 20 seconds. So basically, I will have an AoE stun every 30 seconds. So we get a really bad opener by the side of ULTIMA. I mean, we see here, you'll see in the later games that Cassidy and Smite kind of switch it up a bit more. They kind of hesitate a bit more. I thought they were going to go get combat instantly, Cassidy and Smite. However, we don't. Smite hangs back a little bit to maybe get the rogue out, but we don't, so we get sapped instantly. Because we're not in combat here, Nethy gets sapped off. Now, what could have happened here? Well, we could have gone for the Nullifying Shroud, but because we're not in combat, the rogue was just going to sap off all his Nullifying Shrouds. So, really the only thing that could have happened here was just instantly sending this opener. Immediately getting in here, having Cassidy and Smite go full send, get your Rake Stun on Frostfee, get your Scatter Trap onto Tana. Because you're in combat right then and there, you can heal Smite or Cassidy and you yourself as a dragon will be in combat, so the rogue cannot sap you. You can go for your nullifying shroud, and then you can start getting your opener, getting your oppressing roar out there, getting your deep breath out there. But instead, it doesn't happen. We get sapped off, and this is the start of a really bad opener. Now we flare randomly right here by the box. Typically, if you're going to be flaring, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to get any stealth classes out with the flare, because I mean, again, you must have some real gambling luck to, be able to pop the stealthies out with the flare. So the more reliable thing to do, I guess, would be to either flare on top of a healer. If not that, flare certain exits or entrances to block off pathing from the rogue. So if you know that this path is blocked off, then you know he's going to come up in a different angle. Maybe he's going to come up from the backside. Maybe he's going to come from this angle. You're cutting off possibilities where the rogue can go, and you're just kind of helping map out the rest of the game. At least map out the opener. So we don't do that. We flare just randomly on top of this box for no reason. It does nothing. We get resapped here, and we push in a bit farther. So we have Smite chilling down here behind the stairs. We're not in range of our dragon, so we're still sapped here. We get opened on by the rogue with this cheap shot. This is during cooldowns too, so they're just trying to full send the opener here. Call it the Wild Bestial Wrath, Frenzy, Tiger's Fury, Incarnate, I believe, right this minute. Yeah, so we get our full offensive CDs going here, and guess what happens? We don't do anything with it because we get crowd control. We get stopped on this stuff. So the dragon deep breaths, not to stun Tana or Frostby or the rogue, simply just to get back in range of the hunter because we're overextended. So we come back in range. We don't have the oppressing roar up, which is unfortunate, so it screws open the CC chain of this opener. And once Frostby comes out of this Breaksdown, guess what he does? He goes into the Fear bombs everyone. Fear bombs the dragon, the feral, the hunter. This is brutal, especially on all their cooldowns, on Call of the Wild and Incarnate. This is brutal. Now, hunters have a PvP talent that makes it so they are immune to fears for 8 seconds once they enter their Bestial Wrath, so I wonder why he's not taking it here. Fear immunity would definitely be much stronger here. I mean, you're immuning Psychic Scream, you're immuning Void Volley from unless he's not running Void Volley, so yeah, it would have been a good option here. We wouldn't have gone feared, and we could have, kept up the pressure here a bit more. And it would have been pretty nice because we're not feared here. Unless we get stunned, we can help peel for our dragon, because off of this fear, look what happens. Our dragon gets opened on by this rogue, or he gets swapped to. So you see here, we're hitting the Cassidy for some reason, and then we go onto a swap onto Nethi. So this fear passing was horrible. We're LOS from Nethi. We can't really support him right here. Nethi gets cheap shotted, and we're full sending on Nethi right here. Ultima is forced to trade out 2 major cooldowns. First, it is the Emerald Communion. Now, because he's stunned, he couldn't pre-wall because, I mean, they instantly swapped onto him right after the Psychic Scream. He goes for the Emerald Communion, but you see here, this Emerald Communion does pretty much nothing. You see there, it topped him, didn't really heal the Hunter all too much, and it didn't heal the Cassidy at all. So we're forced to trade out Barkskin, we're forced to trade out Rewind as well. Why? Well, because he gets Shadowy Dueled here. So you see here, Rogue Shadowy Duels him. He's a bit purple, so you know that Shadowy Duels the feral. And we trade out Rewind here. Now, because you can't heal the Druid while he's Shadowy Dueled, either you sit in bear form and try and greed out the Rewind, maybe time dial when he comes out, greed it out by sitting in bear form, going into your frenzied region. Maybe that can buy you enough time. Maybe defensively maim stunning the rogue because he has no trinket. Maybe, because it really is only Shadow Blades. It is very scary, but no Shadow Dance, so you maybe could have greeted it, but we're not really risking it here because at any moment we could have gone hexed on the dragon. We could have lassoed the dragon, so at any moment we could have, that whole bit could have just gone south way more than it already is. So we trade out Rewind instead to kind of not really give any chances, and we do top Cassidy here. But we're not out of the woods yet, so you see the Shaman's actually doing a really good job at keeping his team alive with the pre-earthen. You see that opener, he immediately pre-earthened to opener, which kind of also just gave a bit more extra safety to his team. So right when he comes off of the stun here, right when he comes off the Diamond Ice, he immediately earned the walls, and luckily he did because the dragon came and deep breath stunned to get over. So very good place from the Resto Shaman. Again, pre-earthen, pre-tiding goes. His Resto Shaman is the best thing you can do because you can't use CDs compared to many other healers in stun. Disc Priest can use Pain Suppression, Druids can use Barkskin, Holy Priest can use Guardian Spirit, Paladins can use Divine Protection. So Amulet Communion for dragons, so being able to pre-earth and pre-tide a lot of these goes as Special Shaman, great. So we have a lot of opener pressure here. We have, we have more CDs to work with. I mean, you see here, we have Tide. Well, we just tied it here actually. We have Ascendance, we have Evasion, we have a Charge of Vanish, we have Cloak of Shadows, we have Desperate Prayer, we have Dispersion, and we have Void Shift. So we have so many more CDs to work with as Old and Bad. For Ultima, we're down. We only have Time Dilation. We still have a Rescue, which is decent. We have Turtle, 2 Walls, and Feign Death, so Smite is definitely very healthy, but Cassidy is the main kill target here, so we have nothing. We just rated out the Survival Instincts. We also go for a Static Field Totem right here, which is really awkward. Now, again, if you're going to go for Static Field Totems on a Dragon, he tries to group him up too, and he missed him. So you see here how the Static Field Totem was right here. He moves it to port anyone who's in the Static Field Totem currently to the new location, and it'll port the Dragon on top of his DPS. You really wouldn't want to stack the Dragon on top of his own DPS because, A, you're only doing that if you have a really powerful Cleave comp, which we really don't. I mean, Sub-Rogue and Shadow Priest, not really one of the main comps I think of when I think of Cleave. But what we can do is we can port him LOS. So we can Static Field him here, and we can port him down here closer to the stairs on this ledge. Because guess what? He's Static Field here, but he can still see the Hunter. He can still see his Feral. So he's still getting healing off. So Static Field was almost completely pointless. So instead, you either just move him, put him down closer at the bottom of the stairs, or port him down here to the bottom of the stairs, but behind on the bottom floor here. So again, he can't see Cassidy or he can't see Smite because the boxes will be in the way. He's on the bottom floor. So that could have gone you a bit more pressure. Your team is stable right now, so you could go for a Hex on top of that. But unfortunately, we don't. I also just realized we're running Dream Projection, Time Stop, and Nullifying Shroud. So we have no Fire Breath Purge, which is actually really awkward. So Dream Projection it's okay. It's, I believe, a 2-minute cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, or a 1-minute cooldown. So this will basically cleanse off all the dots from his team, but he will suffer the backlash. It does decent healing as well, which is okay. But we also have Time Stop, which is really awkward. Time Stop, he's mainly just taking this just to immune the fears, immune Chief Shots. So it's very cheesy, but if he can get it off, it does work. And then we're taking Nullifying Shroud. So we didn't utilize Time Stop. We haven't utilized it yet, actually. We haven't utilized Dream Projection yet. I don't think so. So we're not utilizing the honor talents we have. We also, again, because we're taking Nullifying Shroud, Time Stop, and Dream Projection, we don't have Fire Breath. We don't have Scouring Flame. The greatest purge in all of creation against the Resto Shaman. This one spell can put Resto Shaman so far behind on healing, and we're not taking it. So not really too sure, the kind of real thought process behind these picks are, but hopefully it works out in the end. So moving over here, again, the Static Field play could have been a lot better, but we're not going to focus too much on that. Frostby's doing a good job of just simply playing behind the boxes, and just letting Nixie do his thing. Now we have a really bad. This is really bad. You're gonna cringe right here. I'm telling you, you're gonna cringe right here. So we have Nixie coming here, and I believe at this point he goes for the offensive Cloak of Shadows. Why? To immune the Cyclone. There was no reason to do this. We didn't really have any astounding pressure right now. We didn't have any kill pressure. There's no CDs going out. You didn't need to Cloak Shadows to immune the Cyclone to peel for your Priest. Nothing was happening. So we offensive Cloak of Shadows to immune the Cyclone for literally no reason. So now that puts us behind on CDs to work with. Again, that's kind of the whole main flavor, the main benefit of having that really strong opener, was that we had more CDs to work with, more CDs to trade, because we're playing against a Feral Druid. And a Feral Druid can instantly flip the switch on any occasion. Any maim stun, any bash, any trap on the healer can flip the switch, because Feral Druids do so much damage with or without cooldowns that they're scary throughout the entire game. So blowing Cloak of Shadows like this is not a good call. And let me tell you, it gets worse. So we trade out the Cloak of Shadows, and we're just kind of sitting here doing nothing. We're not stopping anything. We're not, we're not really reversing the pressure. We're just kind of just kind of coasting by, riding with the wind. We are not moving our Earthenwall totem back onto our Priest. Again, you're seeing here, they're not inside of Earthen. Earthen just sitting here, just kind of doing nothing, moving on top. So You're giving your priest and yourself summative defense. Now we do get a beautiful triple fear here. So we go in for the cheap shot onto the, the kidney shot onto the dragon once he comes up, shadow step, kidney shot, and then we get a beautiful fear here with frost feet. It's a beautiful double fear here, amazing. And I don't believe anything else happens off that. You could even hex off that, but we're not really playing really aggro on the Risto Shaman, which is really unfortunate. If you can play aggro on the Risto Shaman, it'll be the best thing ever. And we're not playing aggro. We're not going for these hexes. We're not looking for the lightning lassos. So we're playing full defense, which is okay if you're on the back foot, which we're not. We're in the driver's seat currently. But we get a beautiful smoke bomb onto Cassidy. Almost killed him, but Nethi does get in at the nick of time. Cassidy also just sitting in bear form and just kind of running away. We trade out the rescue to get Cassidy further. And now we're reversing the pressure. So again, we lightning lasso onto Smite. Very good. If you're wondering, as a Risto Shaman, when you should really use your lightning lasso, you can use it for multitude of situations. If you want to lasso the healer, that's fine. I like lassoing the kill target or potential kill target swaps because lightning lasso itself does a lot of damage, about 10% of the target's health average. So I love using that on our kill targets because it's added damage. So you saw there a beautiful lightning lasso because he rescues Cassidy and we're moving away. Smite's all by himself over here. We go lightning lasso. We drop down so we can't get kicked by the Feral Druid, and he's going to be sitting a full lightning lasso. So this maybe should have been a trinket because we don't have any healing here at all. So maybe this should have been a trinket from Smite's end, but I mean, we do trade out the sack, and I guess the sack was good enough. So we trade out the sack, and I believe we wall as well. Very fortunate. So we're looking to reverse the pressure now. Once we get Cassidy back up, we have Bestial Wrath going. Incarnate's in 20 seconds. So we're going to look to reverse the pressure in just a bit, but Cassidy's just dying the whole game. So hopefully Nessie is... We move our totem for some reason to, I believe, the Earth Grab totem to try and root the dragon and the Feral Druid here. I believe we get Shadowy Dueled. Wait, what happens here? Oh yeah, we time dialed. We get Shadowy Dueled on the dragon. I don't know if Dream Projection actually went through the Shadowy Duel to hit Cassidy. If it did, great. If it didn't, unfortunate. But we get Shadowy Dueled here. Didn't really accomplish anything because Nixie goes back to just simply hitting the hunter, not trying to chase, which is really good. So time dial is enough to keep Cassidy back in the fight, and then we have Nixie kind of coming back to bullying Cassidy once again. So Smite's is going to be kind of pillar humping here, and Nixie is just going to be putting the brakes on Smite for a good bit. So we get rooted here. So this is where everything falls apart once again. So if you thought that Cloak of Shadows was bad, it gets worse. So again, Incarn's up, Call the Wild's up, Smite and Cassidy are literally just screaming. I don't actually hear their comms. I don't know if they actually did this, but I'm pretty sure if I was in their situation, I'd be screaming, bro, this rogue is overextended. I got Call the Wild, I got Incarnation. This stun, he dies. He has no trinket in 5 seconds. He still has no trinket right now. We can kill him before his trinket comes back. So we offensively evasion at some point. I believe right here. We offensively evasion right here. I don't know why we did this. There was no damage going out. I believe maybe he evasion because he saw that he was going to get Incarn back in 8 seconds, but you still wouldn't evasion at that point because it's 8 seconds. So his evasion was completely useless. No damage from Cassidy, no damage from Smite. We blow evasion offensively for no reason. We don't even have real kill pressure here. So Cassidy goes away. Cat and Nethi follows close behind, and so we decide to push. Nixie decides to push, and we're not following him. So Frostfeet and Tana are very far away from Nixie, and for some reason, Nixie just falls down here. He falls down right at this moment here, and he gets rake stunned. And immediately, Tiger's Fury, Incarnation, the Hunter is doing his best to try and stop Tana and Frostfeet from reconnecting. And this Feral, Cassidy, just simply solos Nixie back here. Almost 100-0. Almost killed him instantly. Forced to trade out the trinket. We have no evasion. So if you thought that was bad, guess what happens? We were forced to trade out the Spirit Link, but on top of that, we also get a beautiful fear there, by the way. But we also life swap. So because our rogue blows 2 major cooldowns for no reason, it screws over everyone else. We're forced to trade Link, and we're forced to trade... We're not forced to trade Life Swap, but we overreacted because it just all happened so fast. So we're down 3 CDs in the span of like 30 seconds. So that's bad. Back to back. During Incarnation, during Call of the Wild, which all last for like almost 30 seconds total, you're not safe right now. You are in trouble. The pressure that you did have and the pressure that you did get from the opener completely turns around now. So we come in here, we get a beautiful fear. Again, the Spirit Link comes out. We get a Siphoned on the Dragon. We Static Field Totem to pull them all together. They're all grouped up here, so pretty decent. We pull them back just so they can't run away. So pretty decent from the Shaman here. Again, you saw Cassie try to get out, but he got pulled back in from the Static Field Totem. But we're not safe here. I mean, we're in Earth. We have double Earth. Is that double Earthen, I believe? Maybe it's just Earthen and Earthcrab Totem. But we have Earthen Wall. We're running out of Earthen Wall. We're not moving Earthen Wall back onto our Rogue friend here. Again, we're still not moving Earthen Wall. I guess maybe he can. Maybe he still was considered in it, but I don't know. We want to keep Earthen Wall for our Rogue at all times. We get a nice fear again on the Hunter Pets during BSRS, which is very nice, but we get an unfortunate positioning here. We have to play it back now. We're down CDs. There's no point in just sitting here trying to kill Feral, trying to kill Smite, especially on this cluster right here. You have to play it back, but unfortunately we don't. We get rake stunned, and Tana is playing back into the boxes here to try and avoid trap and trying to avoid the Feral Druid main stun, but we don't. We get Mighty Bashed, and we're planning to get a trap off. We do knock to try and mess up the trap pathing, but you know, not good enough. We don't get the trap off. We do instead kill Nixie because we're just stuck here behind the boxes. So again, that's just one of the prime examples of everything can fall apart. No matter how good your opener is, everything can fall apart in a matter of seconds. And because we didn't trade, because we offensively used Evasion and Cloak of Shadows for no reason at all, it put us behind on not only those CDs for himself, but it put us behind on our Spirit Link Totem and an overlap on our Life Swap. In that moment, I'd say the Spirit Link would be better because we're not CC'd on the Shaman. So it would have been much better just keep the Spirit Link and then trade Life Swap in this situation right here, because we had Dispersion. So we would have lived if we didn't overlap Life Swap. Old and Bad had control over this game pretty much the entire time. There were some swaps here and there, but really, Nixie and Frostbeard were doing such a good job at just punishing Cassie for overextending, and constantly just Cassie was dead the whole game. It's just that one rake stun with no evasion, with Trinket coming off cooldown, that really secured the deal for them. And that reverse pressure, again, Resto Shaman does not do well with recovering from intense damage like that, especially overlapping Spirit Link and Life Swap. You're really reliant on your team to help heal and help support. But if they can't do that because you overlap Life Swap and Spirit Link, then you're screwed. There's really no recovery from that, Maybe instead of static field toteming, pulling them back to you, maybe you save it for this situation right here where they're all stacked up together. You static field, pour them closer down to the ground here on the lower floor, and again, just have your rogue move. We're not trying to kill anything right now. We're trying to recover some bit of CDs, because I don't know if they had any CDs recovering right at this moment. We had a Healing Tide, we had an NS here, we had a Cloak up, and then really nothing else. So I guess it's hard. Maybe you're just buying time for your own offensive CDs to try and create counter pressure, but in terms of living, we're still not safe. Even if we were to peel back, we're just simply trying to find a counter offensive window, but we couldn't find it, and we ultimately die here. So a very serious, unfortunate events, but let's go on to game number 2. Game number 2, we have Echo versus 07, Mex on the Disc Priest, Waz on the Sub Rogue, and Raikou on the Frost Mage for Echo. And 07, we have Mitra on Resto Shaman, Dixie Squad on the Affliction Lock, and then Pulsing on the Shadow Priest. Now, standard Shadow play with the Resto Shaman, the real advantage you're going to have here is damage. I'm having just an overwhelming amount of damage, but currently right now against Echo, it's not going to go that way. Echo, especially with RMP, Waz and Raikou do such a good job at just covering the entire game, controlling the entire match to start to finish, that it almost seems impossible to really ramp up any bit of your damage. So for the Resto Shaman here, we're going to be facing Purges from the Priest, Spam Dispel, Spam Spell Seal from Raikou. And I also really love having, I'm on my Paladin, sorry. I also really love having Burrow for Resto Shaman. Why? Because if I can get a good Burrow on a cheap shot and deny that cheap shot's chain, into the Deep Res, into the Ring of Frost, that puts me a little bit ahead. It helps me better with my CD trades, so getting a high value Burrow is super nice, feels super great. Other than that, we are kind of on the back foot here. Waz and Raikou and Max do such a good job at covering angles and making it so you can't really move anywhere to make it so that they really are going to get every one of these CC chains. So we're going to see that right here. We have Waz instantly going in. So we have Waz going in for the sap. Now, luckily, we do get the Demonic Gateway and we get the Demonic Circle out, because if we were to get sapped without Demonic Circle, I mean, that would have just been the worst thing in all of creation. So we get our stuff down here. We missed the Earth Grab Totem. Very unfortunate. Yeah, we missed the Earth Grab. Don't really know where to place it. We place it like right behind us, which is kind of really awkward. So we get the sap off, we get Poly, and we do get the cheap shot into the Shadow Blaze and Icy Vein. So we're full sending it on this Warlock here. We do Gateway, we are playing Far Demonic Circle, and we are also Shadow Stepping twice to get to this Warlock. So we really just want to send all the damage we can to this Warlock in this first opener. So we demonic Gateway. We also Static Field Totem, not really the best play. You're just asking to get feared, you're asking to DB. Luckily he didn't have DB up. But yes, not a really good play. I don't really like Static Field Totem into RMP because there's really no value you're going to get from RMP. Sure, you could really either do two things. One, it's separating Waz and Raikou, separating, you know, mechs from his team, going for a nice bit of LOS play with Static Field Totem, rooting, stunning on top of that is great. Getting Waz off of your Warlock to buy you some bit of time is a bit decent. Separating Waz from Raikou to stop these CC chains is a bit more decent. But yeah, porting them on top of you is just not really the best play. You don't really achieve anything here. You don't really get them out of range of Waz. You don't really group them up for any bit of cleave damage, or just porting them on top of yourself for really nothing at all. So, still during Shadow Blades here, we are doing a lot of damage to Dixie Squad. We do Cheap Shot Pulsing just to kind of stop his damage, because he does have Dark Ascension up here. So we stop his damage, stop his peels with a Cheap Shot just for a little bit. And I believe we do look for a good swap onto Mex. So Mex gets hammered here. So we get counterspelled by the Warlock. What we also do is we cleanse something off of somebody. I don't know what we cleanse, because we get Unstable Affliction backlashed. Maybe it was a Mortal Coil. No, not a Mortal Coil. Not a Fear either. We cleanse something, we get the Unstable Affliction backlash, and we are just getting full sent on. So we trade out the Rapture and a Pain Suppression too, which is really great. Great job on the Pain Suppression, because if he was just a Rapture there, I mean, he would have died. You saw those shields were getting eaten up alive, so good job on the trades. Now, we do, I mean, Waz is just so annoying. I mean, you legit cannot get away from this guy. So unfortunately, we are caught in a Ring of Frost and a Polymorph on top of that, and most likely going to be a Fear out of that as well. And this is just brutal. I mean, the key to this is really trying to pre-use a lot of your CDs as Resto Shaman, which sucks, because having to pre-tide and having to pre-earthen specifically against RMP, where they have all your angles covered. So if you try and so guess what? If you pre-tide, you pre-healing tide the go, guess what's going to happen? The Frost Mage is going to be like, oh wow, healing tide, Ice Lance, kill it instantly. So pre-earthening is really going to be your only option here, but earthen is down, unfortunately, back up in 39 seconds. So we really don't have anything for our Warlock other than simply the Unending Resolve, and it's really not enough. So they're doing a good job at stopping Meatrout. Again, the Polymorph, the Ring of Frost, the Fear, Counterspell, and the Pulsing. I believe we also polymorphed the Priest as well. Yeah, you polymorph the Priest, and we're just stopping advancements from these two. Why? Because we don't want to get the life swap off. We don't want him to get the Spirit Link off. But luckily, we do get in range, and luckily the counterspell does end, so we do get the life swap onto Dixie Squad. So now this is pretty decent. So they're in pretty decent positioning here. Again, as I said before, not being able to give angles on the Resto Shaman is the best thing you can do on Resto. But fortunately, against Waz, Mex, and Raikou, that's impossible. So we have these three in front of us, so we can see all of them. That's great. They're not behind us. They're not covering my flanks. You know, they're not really getting any of my bad angles, but I can see them all in front of me. So again, it makes it a bit easier, makes it so you can't get CC chained in this very encounter. So we do trade out the Demonic Gateway to get away from this Mage, get away from Raikou, get away from Waz, who is just beaming our boy to death. So we Shadow Step to, well, I mean, 2 Shadow Steps again. So we Shadow Step to the, do we Shadow Step or do we get knocked? I believe we Shadow Step. So I believe we Shadow Step to the, yeah, to the Priest, Cheap Shot him, we get knocked, and then we Gateway, and then we Shadow Step again, and Cheap Shot onto, oh sorry, Kidney Shot onto Meatrout. Smoke Bomb onto Dixie Squad, and we are just kind of sending damage onto Dixie Squad with the Shadow Blades. Now this whole next 10 seconds here, or 15 seconds here, is really awkward on the side of 07. So we get polymorphed here. We try to go for the MD, we bait the kick, we get precog, we MD's a polymorph, but it's not quick enough because we get sapped. So he was long enough in polymorph to be considered out of combat. We get sapped, we trinket, or sorry, we will Forsaken the fear that Pulsing gave Mex, so we can fear Mitra, we get his trinket, and then we go for the trinket link. Not really sure, would a trinket link really have been best option here? Because he does heal with something. I guess we do like Riptide him or something. Maybe we could have just sent the Primordial Wave, you know, NS. That could have done justice for him since he is. I don't know what DR level he's on, but maybe that would have been a bit better. But again, he's scared, so Spirit Link Totem was the trade he thought was best. So we tried Spirit Link Totem, it dies instantly, we get a Fear on Waz, which is really great, and now we get a Cleanse on that, and we get a big Ultimate Penance here. So this whole window right here is just really awkward. So we get the kick on Raikou on the Polymorph, we Gust of Wind to get away from the Ultimate Penitence. So really, you just want to keep your Warlock up because this Ultimate Penitence is going to hurt. It's only hitting the Warlock, so your Warlock then takes some crazy damage right now. Instead of healing your Warlock, we go for the Lightning Lasso onto Raikou, which I guess is okay, because we Lightning Lasso, we get his trinket. But if you were to Lightning Lasso, you probably should have Lightning Lasso the Rogue, since the Rogue is really putting the pressure right now. The Mage can't stop you, because he has no counter spell. And Rogue has no trinket, so there's really no way to stop this other than simply him blinking in and DBing, which I don't really think he really wants to do that for a Lightning Lasso, but maybe he does. But really, I would have just gotten my Earthwall down and just started healing my Warlock. But we don't do that. And because we don't do that, because we don't get the Earthwall Totem down, guess what happens? We don't get the Earthwall down for like the next 30 seconds. I tell you this for Resto Shaman, if you don't get your totems down, guess what? You're probably not going to get them down in the next minute or so. So, we don't get our Earthwall Totem down, and because of this, our Warlock is dying this entire next minute or so. So we still don't have our Earthwall down. We are constantly getting cheap shotted by this Rogue. We're constantly getting stopped by this Mage, by this Rogue, and by Mex, who is playing super aggro here. So again, still no Earthwall down. I mean, he tries to pre-tremor the fear, which is not going to work on Mex, because Mex is a god. So really, I would have just simply Earthwall Totemed, just to give my Warlock something, some bit of defense, instead of trying to bait or greed the pre-tremor. And in fact, we don't get the pre-tremor, we kill it instantly, we get feared here, still no Earthwall Totem down, we get Polymorph on the Pulsing, so we can't peel, can't do anything, and we Demonic Circle here. So we Demonic Circle, get away, Raikou and Waz are just still sticking on top of Dixie Squad, and this whole final seconds here is just brutal. I mean, still, no Earthwall down. We're in a Polymorph, no Earthwall, we get a Repoly, we try and Life Grip the Warlock away, but guess what? He gets Icy Nowood or he gets something from the pet, the Water Elemental, Root Dixie Squad on that Life Grip, and that is really what kills him. So, Life Grip fails, still no Earthwall down. If we were to get Earthwall down any bit earlier, if we were to get Earthwall down before this fear happened, you know, maybe it could have been different. You know, we port, we move Earthwall Totem back onto Dixie Squad. We also didn't go for any Static Field Totem plays to get him away. I mean, again, you have Waz, you have Raikou just sitting on top of your Warlock here. I mean, porting them all together, gripping them away, getting a Root and a Stun on top of that. Again, creating counter pressure to relieve the pressure that you're facing is also good in situations. But I mean, we just didn't think of that. I mean, still no Earthwall down. I mean, we're constantly being controlled this whole game with the cheap shots, with the, you know, kidney shots, the polys, and, you know, it's really just textbook. That's game number 2. Let's go on to game number 3. So game number 3, we have Numliz on the Discipline Priest, Houston on the BM Hunter, and Swapsy on the Unholy DK for Phoenix Reborn, and Bleach Bones, Lone Tar on the Holy Paladin, Blizzo on the Assassination Rogue, and Mercy on the Affliction Warlock. So, what are the real main strengths here? Again, the Holy Paladin's going to have a bit of a decent time. You're facing a BM Hunter, and 2 buffs is really going to do you justice. Now, you will have some purges through the Priest, spam purging, and the Hunter with their triple purge every 10 seconds. So that could be very annoying, especially dispelling all of your Eternal Flames on yourself, on your 2 DPS. So, very annoying. Going to be cucking the Holy Paladin's healing just a you know, smidge bit. But freedoms are going to be very nice here. We're going to be having freedoms on, you know, Rogue, on our Warlock to constantly get him away. Against DKs, I personally love Hallowed Ground, and Righteous Judgment. Judgment has a 50% chance to cast Consecration at the target's location, and Hallowed Ground, while in your Consecration, it'll suppress all snare effects. So this DK wants to continuously defile you guys and wants to keep gripping you into his defile. Well, it's still going to get the benefit of obviously getting the cleave and the damage off, but at the very least, you won't be slowed by 90% the whole game. So I personally love this against DKs, but I don't believe we're running it. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. What other stuff we run? Spreading the Word can be pretty decent, I guess, against Unholy DK and BM Hunter. You'll get both benefits. You'll get the benefits of freedom, freedoming, you know, your entire team. You'll get the benefits of the physical damage reduction by 30%. Decent, but really I would keep Hallowed Ground and then take Searing Glare. Searing Glare is super good against Unholy DK and BM Hunters. I mean, you're constantly Searing Glaring their pets, so very nice, especially in this opener burst. Very good. So obviously moving in, we have the Defile on Mercy, trying to just get his damage off here. But Lizzo is really looking. Well, he gets caught in stealth. Wait, what? Oh no, he opens. Wait, no, wait. What happens? No, what actually happens? Does he get caught on a stealth? I'm assuming he gets caught on a stealth as a pet. Maybe the pet just AoEs. Yeah, so we instantly freedom try and get Blizzo just in the fight now, I guess. We're opening on the Hunter. This is not Deathmark. I don't see Kingsbane either, so we get cheap shotted here, and we're sending some damage on the BM Hunter, but I mean his health is not going down. So Swapsy's taking this AMS talent. That makes it so he can apply his anti-magic shell onto his teammate. So this is very good for your other DPS. It's again another cooldown to trade for your other DPS. You could trade it for your priest. Now we just see a lot of, you know, some new tech on the block, especially if you're watching Sea-Doo. You'll see Mez will anti-magic cell Sea-Doo whenever a healer or some DPS is going in for some sort of magical type CC effect. So again, Cyclone, Hodge, Repentance, Fear, because AMS will absorb any magic effects for, you know, so long as it persists. So long as the AMS is Sea-Doo when he's in crowd control, he can't be Repentance, he can't be Hodge, he can't be CC'd by magical effects. So really good play there, but we do use it for the Hunter. So we get Precog on Mercy, not very good. We get Dark Pact though, very nice. And now Mercy has damage rolling out. I mean, this is Dark Pact, it's his Haunt, it's his Dark Glare Report, very nice. Lone Tar's doing a pretty decent job at just kind of keeping everyone up. We have Evasion here. Evasion, I'd say it's a good evasion defensively. I mean, this is really DK cooldown. It's Unholy Frenzy, but no, nothing really too scary. Maybe we could have held off on the evasion for a bit. But Mercy is just taking Fuse into Pound Town. These power shields are pretty beefy from Numbliz, and really it's just kind of like a stalemate here. Really nothing too crazy is happening. No one really has a significant advantage here. We do, it looks like we're trying to send down this Hunter, which Hunters are pretty tanky. Especially as a Dark Ranger, you have access to a lot of healing. You basically get 2 walls as a Hunter in general, but as a Dark Ranger, whenever you use your Survival of the Fittest, which is your wall, you'll cast an Exhilaration at 50% effectiveness. Your Exhilaration is a percent-based heal. So when you use Survival of the Fittest, you'll heal yourself. And if you were to use Exhilaration, it'll also cast Survival of the Fittest at, you know, the same effectiveness, but 3-second duration. So you have so much tankiness, so much healing as a BM Hunter, as a Hunter in general, that I don't really know if it's really the best option for going on him. But we'll see here. We had the anti-magic shell again on Houston. I mean, yeah, this DK, Swapsy is just crazy. So we get the smoke bomb in. We do get a dome in for the Hunter, and the Hunter is just fine. Houston doesn't really need to trade anything. He trades the wall, which... Wait, why did we trade wall? That must have been a fat finger, because we have dome, and there's really no real damage ramping up. Deathmark isn't really that scary. It's really Kingsbane that's scary, which if you Kingsbane in this window, then that's definitely scary, but... I feel like we didn't really need to trade wall here. I mean, we have dome. Blizzo is just sitting in this open. I mean, we need to keep freedoms on Blizzo. Again, that's why I love having the Hallowed Ground Consecration, because it procs a lot. So we actually tried out the bubble. I don't know what the plan here was. So we tried out the bubble. Alright, Swapsy was looking for the asphyxiate. Yeah, that was a good trade. Good trade on the bubble and the wing to try and top off Blizzo and Mercy. Yeah, I forgot that this guy is running asphyxiate instead of strangulate. So we trade out bubble and just kind of wings, top Mercy up. We get precog. Again, this defile is just super annoying. Let's see, he's spamming defiles here. We're not keeping freedoms up on, you know, our Warlock, on our Rogue. And again, that's why I love having Hallowed Ground, because it makes me be able to kind of be a bit more loose with my freedoms. So right here is where everything goes downhill. This is where all the unfortunate events line up together. So, no CDs for Blizzo. We only have unending resolve for Mercy, which doesn't matter because Mercy's not the kill target anyway. We were forced to try out the bubble and the Avenging Wrath to get our healing out. And this is where things fall apart. So Mercy is running Howl of Terror. So because we're not running Mortal Coil, it's a bit harder to get CC onto the Priest to try and go for those Mortal Coil fears into Shadow Furies. So we're trying to play on top of him to get this Howl of Terror off. And we get stopped on it by the Scatter Shot. And because we're not able to land these CCs off of the Mortal Coil, our Paladin can't really go in to get these Hodges on the Priest, which is really the main aspect of playing a Holy Paladin, is trying to force trying to get these counter CC goes, because as a Holy Paladin, you're simply just healing the entire game. You don't really do a whole lot of damage. The really only shining moment you have is to just simply get these really high CC chains off. I mean, Hodge is still the longest down in the game. Maybe you can get a Repentance off as well. So, again, we're not going to be able to do that with Lone Tar, unfortunately. So we get scattered on our pursuit to get this Howl of Terror off, and they're just going to be setting it on Blizzo. So Mercy is still trying to play on top of Numliz, and we get pet stunned by the Hunter onto Lone Tar, and then asphyxiate onto Blizzo. So this is death. Like, this is legit death. So there's nothing you can do in this situation. Legit nothing. We're on Forbearance, so we can't bop ourselves. Immediately what I thought was, hey, bop the pet stun, lay on hands, your rogue. Unfortunately, you can't do that because he's on Forbearance. So, because again, he bubbled just like 2 seconds ago. So, legit, this is just death. I mean, if we had a Mortal Coil, we could Mortal Coil, you know, the Hunter or the DK off. We could, I'd say primarily more so the DK. But either one, we could have Mortal Coiled. We are trying to play on top of the Priest to try and land this Howl of Terror. We miss it. We don't even go for it. And instead, we get feared ourselves. So this was just a whole bunch of disaster. And this does, unfortunately, spell death for Bleached Bones. I mean, there's really nothing you could do for your team here other than simply having the Warlock try and peel, try and fear spam the minute these stuns went out. But again, it all happened pretty fast, and, you know, it's kind of just an unfortunate event. But, you know, Bleached Bones definitely took it to him. But yeah, Fused and Swapsy just definitely had a bit more control over the game, which was weird because, again, the opener was definitely kind of like a stalemate. I don't think really anyone had a significant advantage. But this evasion was definitely sketchy. Again, I don't know what the whole point of this evasion was. We have wings. We're going into all of our healing. We're not CC'd. I'm pretty sure we could have just held off on the evasion, especially because there's no really powerful MS. I mean, sure, you have Necrotic Wounds, you have Pet MS from the Hunter, but nothing really too powerful. So Wing should have been enough to kind of just top their team here. So maybe we could have held off on the evasion, but it's called the Wild. It's pretty scary, especially with the Howl of Terror from the Warlock. I mean, you know, it's a bit more, you have more ways to kind of deny this Hunter from getting this much damage rolling out. So unfortunate that happened, but, you know, good job to Phoenix Reborn, and let's go on to game number 4. Game number 4, we have StreamerZone.gg and Drive Overload, Mirror Comp, Holy Paladin, Feral, and Frost Mage. Now, this has been a very great comp for Holy Paladin ever since Dragonflight like Season 3. This has remained the best comp for Holy Paladin. Why? Because it gives you so many advantages. Constant control with the Feral and the Frost Mage. You can play a max distance on your Holy Paladin, so you can't be CC'd, but you can also go in for CC a bit more frequently, because again, the Frost Mage and Feral are going to have control over the entire game. So you can get CC off more frequently. You will not be CC'd as frequently, so you're just living your best life as a Holy Paladin with a Feral and a Frost Mage. So Mirror Comp, I'll try not to, you know, take too much time on this because it's a Mirror Comp. Kind of a bit of a stalemate throughout the entire game, but we'll only really talk about the notable stuff here. So in terms of Holy Paladin talents here, I really don't know how I feel about Searing Glare. I mean, Searing Glare, I guess, is decent for the Ferals when they are pushing in, looking for the swaps and trying to get these clones off. They're a bit farther from the healers, so they can't dispel these Searing Glares. So maybe it could be a bit decent, but I don't know. I typically just don't like Searing Glare. Denounce could have been a bit decent here. Because you're playing max distance, you can go for a bit more damage with Denounce, so that could be pretty nice, especially because, again, the Feral is going to be pushing in further away from the healer, so he can't dispel. The Feral is going to be sitting in quite a bit of these anti-crits from Denounce, so really great. Maybe it could have been Denounce, Searing Glare, Blitzed Hands, or maybe just stick with Searing Glare and then Divine Vision, standard Holy Paladin talents here. So, coming back over here, we have, I believe TJ opens up first, and Tony was going to get the Rake Cyclone onto JT, but the minute TJ opens, Tony goes in for this opener. Now, I believe in this opener, TJ does a bit better with kind of smothering Relza and Thessia by again going for these cyclones, just being in their face. Tony in this whole opener just focuses on doing the most amount of damage possible. I mean, you see how much damage Tony is doing. He's just ripping into Elsewave. Again, we have JT and Relza playing max distance. Now you see here when TJ is pushing in, look what Relza's doing. Look what Relza's doing. Relza is just sitting in front of their face. Why? Because he wants to kick these cyclones. He doesn't want TJ to get these cyclones off, so he's sitting in front of his face. So very great. Not really pushing in, or not really pushing away, sorry. Trying to line these cyclones, because there's really no way, especially if you don't have a counter spell available, 9 times out of 10, your Divine Steed is probably not going to be fast enough to outrun the cyclone. So you're just going to be sitting in front of his face and getting these rebukes off. So good job, Relza. Relza's also doing a bit more damage. You see here, throughout the game, Relza's doing probably about like 5 million more damage than JT, which does add up. Holy Pound damage, although it's not crazy, if you can stabilize your team, you can get some pretty decent damage. Again, all your damage is passive through the Sunseer, through the, Blessing of Anchi, Holy Shock, offensive Holy Shocks, Sun's Avatar, if you're running Holy Prism, maybe. Judgments out there just to get Holy Power, which also do okay damage. So your damage is passive, especially during Blessing of Summer, your damage will skyrocket. You'll see here in a little bit. Yeah, we're pretty much just kind of doing the whole same thing of having the Feral Druids be really annoying in their back line, looking for the Cyclones, doing as much damage as possible. And then Elsewave and Thessia just kind of trading blows whenever they can, trying to just survive as much as possible. So we do get a Cyclone to Relza, which is very unfortunate. You'll see here in a little bit, Elsewave gets pretty aggressive in like the mid area of the game with these snowdrifts. So instead of using them defensively with the Feral Druid sits on him, he snowdrifts to kind of buy some time. It's going to stun the Feral Druid. He actually just snowdrifts, blinks in to try and stun the healer. So that's the one thing that Elsewave does have over Thessia. Thessia's looking for a nice Ice Wall. And we're going to try and skip to see if we can really see anything super awesome here. So we have a bit of an awkward exchange here. So we get the precog, we go for, oh no, we don't get precog, sorry. We get a poly onto Relza. And because we get the poly, JT decides to push in to try and hodge off of his poly. Tony sees this. Tony sees this from like a mile away. The minute this clown goes in on his Divine Steed, Tony just gets out, he gets precog, he cyclones JT. This is where the, series of unfortunate events starts to happen. So we get cyclone, poly onto Relza, Tony is going in for that maximum damage, we get precog onto Elsa, he's looking for a repoly onto Relza. So we get the repoly. We are still sitting in the cyclone for JT. We get Hodge off of Relza, and Relza trinkets, Hodges JT, full Hodge, and guess what happens? Out of that Hodge, we get polymorphed. So we have just sat like, what is this? Like 15-second CC chain. Very unfortunate. So we were forced to try out the Ice Block, which is very unfortunate. If we didn't get CCs that entire time, if we just stayed back for just a little bit longer, we could have traded out the Bop here. Now, the Bop, just so the Mage doesn't spell steal it, Bop the Feral stun, or just Bop the Feral damage for a bit, and then cancel the Bop off. But it doesn't look like these Mages actually tried to go for that many spell steals throughout the entire game. So, we see here, we get Repentance on JT. I mean, yeah, you'll see that Relza tries to be a bit more aggro when he can find the angle on JT to go for these Repentances, which is really nice. I mean, again, that really does make the difference of this game. But we have some good healing here from Relza into the wings, into the sack. And Elsewave is playing a bit more laid back to kind of stay on JT for whenever Tony wants to push in and try to go for these Cyclones. Now, here's a really annoying thing, Ice Wall. Now, the reason why Ice Wall is good right now, especially versus this comp specifically, because the Holy Paladins are playing so far apart, there's no really real window where you're able to force them together. And if you can force the Holy Paladin in close quarters, they can make for good swap targets, especially if they don't have Bubble or Trinket. Yeah, Holy Paladins make a good swap target. So the Ice Wall forces the Holy Paladins to move in. Now, luckily, this Ice Wall had a bit of a gap on the pillar, so JT was able to jump over it and able to heal TJ. Although, even though he was over the Ice Wall, he actually still wasn't able to heal TJ. So, thankfully, Elsewave was able to kill the Ice Wall pretty much almost instantly. So, JT could actually go and heal TJ. Very nice. But yeah, Ice Wall is very threatening versus again, Feral Frost Mage Holy Paladin, because you're forcing the Holy Paladin that's naturally sitting at max distance with this comp, forcing him in close quarters. So Very annoying, very sketchy. So we escaped that bit of trouble. We're also looking for the repentance. Again, we're just going to kind of skip through for really the only notable kind of notable stuff that really happens here. 20 live for Cyclones. You did get Cycloned here. Don't really think anything crazy happens here yet. So again, you'll see here, just like I said, Elslave is being a bit more aggro when it comes to these Snowdrift stuns. So we're looking for a Snowdrift stun onto Relza. TJ is also following up with that, and whenever we are getting these Snowdrift stuns, that's when we are swapping onto Relza with this stuff. So again, Elslave is really going to be the one setting up the pressure, because he's going to go blink in for the Snowdrift stun onto Relza. TJ, in the meantime, is going to be trying to cover the off targets, cover Tony, cover Thessia, and once they're covered, we're going to be looking for a swap into Relza. And with this, I believe we do force the Divine Shield. Very great. Again, great swap opportunity from Elslave and TJ, and those swaps really is what puts them ahead of the game. Now, Relza is a bit further behind on mana. JT throughout the game has been a bit more conservative on mana, and a bit more conservative on CD trades. So, good job, JT. Now, again, coming a bit back here actually, because this was actually a pretty nasty play by JT. So TJ's pushing in here. JT is a bit further, trying to get the Tears Deliverance off. I believe because he's overextended, or because JT's super far away, Tony looks for the stun on TJ and looks to send some bit of damage here with a Tiger's Fury with the Icy Veins. The minute he gets maim stunned, we send the bop instantly, and the Ice Wall goes down. So that was a nasty bop. We also hodge into this, which was okay. I mean, Bear Form, Heart of the Wild, wasn't really going to, be too threatening with the Hodge or the Ice Wall. And of course, that bop on the maim stun was absolutely crazy from JT. So now we're looking for a bit of damage onto Thessia. Tony is a bit further here. You see how Relza is doing a really good job of not really giving anyone any angles. In the later match here, especially at 5 minutes, you'll see Tony is a bit more aggro with Cyclones. He sacrifices a bit of his damage to go for more Cyclones, and that really does set Streamer Zone a bit further ahead. But these swaps with Elslave and TJ with the Snowdrift is definitely very brutal. So we get Cyclone onto oh no, he actually lines it. Wow, great. Good job, JT. So kind of standard stuff here. Again, just kind of cleaving them up. Tony's looking for the Cyclone Thessia. Good swap on Thessia with the maim stun, but TJ is a bit overextended, and we do get the Cyclone on JT. We do trade out these Survival Instincts, and now we don't have CDs. We get with Cyclone on our Survival Instincts low, so we don't really have anything out of this. I don't know if he has wings or not, because the tooltip for wings, or the cooldown on wings in this AWC is like really bugged, so don't really see anything. But yeah, kind of stalemate here, just like throughout the entire match. So we see Relza is very low on mana. These swaps from Elslave and TJ with the Snowdrift is really putting the pressure on now. And now we see TJ putting up the damage. So before, Tony was just out damaging everyone by like a good solid 10+ million. Now TJ is able to put the numbers back up, and now these on top of the swap pressure, now JT and the boys are in the driver's seat. So we're going to be kind of fast forwarding here into this next kind of scary situation here. Again, looking for the Snowdrift stun. Look at this. I mean, Elslave comes in. I believe trinkets. He goes to Snowdrift, gets it on Relza, and then goes for the polymorph, I believe, but doesn't really land it. We trade up the bot for TJ. Although Tony was very low, we definitely did get some swap pressure onto TJ with the Frost Mage. This wasn't even like normal. This wasn't cooldowns either. This was just normal damage. So very scary stuff here. So decent swap, decent counter pressure from Streamer Zone. And now we're looking at a very unfortunate situation here. We have no mana, no CDs to trade, no nothing on the side of StreamerZone.gg. So Tony does a great job of just hiding throughout the entire game. I believe Relza gets a little bit of mana here, a little bit of mana right here, and I believe Elslave is the one who kind of stops him here. Yep, Icy Nova's him. Tries to go for a Cyclone onto somebody. I don't know who he was cycloning actually. And yeah, this is just unfortunate. I mean, we have no CDs, trades. JT has wings up. There's no way they die here. No bops, no nothing. JT still has his bubble in case he needs to trade it out. Yeah, we trade out the bubble to try and get a Hodge onto Relza to create this counter pressure. We get our repentance off of that. Nobody to stop it. And that should be game over. But, I mean, Ice Wall goes down instantly. And Tony tries to look for a bit of counter pressure with the Incarnation, but it just goes down. So, unfortunate. These teams were both evenly matched. But the swap pressure from JT and TJ Nelswave was definitely nice. The crowd control from, Tony and Relza onto JT was a bit better, but in terms of real kill potential, Drive Overload had a bit more potential. So, very interesting game. Now let's go on to game number 5. So for game number 5, we have Bleached Bones versus ULTIMA, and we've seen these boys before, so I'm not really going to mention their names. We all know who they are. Now, we have a bit more rot pressure through the Azeroth and the Aflock, and then we have a bit more consistency and uptime through the BM Hunter and the Feral Druid. Because it's such a small map, they're going to be able to smother the Aflock the entire game, not letting him really play as loose as he wants to play. So for Lone Tar, I believe we're running some good talents here. We have Searing Glare, which is awesome. I mean, you're going to be getting a max value Searing Glares on the Feral Druid, on the BM Hunter, hopefully the BM Hunter, and all his pets. I mean, especially during Call of the Wild, this is absolutely nasty. So getting good value Searing Glares is one of the best things you can do for your team in this specific matchup. Now, hopefully we are running Spreading the Word, because this talent is nasty versus BM Hunters and just really a full melee comp, full physical damage comp. So basically, whenever you use your Blessing spells, you'll get a certain buff that will affect all allies within your aura. So if I use Blessing of Freedom, it'll cleanse everyone of their movement impairing effects. If I use this on Blessing of Protection, everyone in my aura will get 30% physical damage reduction for 6 seconds. That is nasty. You have 2 Blessing of Protections, by the way. So you have 2 windows where you're giving everyone in your team 30% physical damage reduction. That is gnarly, alright? I'm saying gnarly, alright? I'm a gnarlier person, alright? I'm a gnarlier sayer. So this is basically just a power word barrier from Disc Priest, but you have 2 of them. So very, very, very high defense on the side of Bleached Bones. Now, purges can be pretty annoying, maybe, if you're getting good purges, consistent purges on the Hunter and the Evoker. Can purge off my Eternal Flames, can purge off, I think Dawn Light's purgeable as well, purging off your Blessing of Freedoms, purging off your Blessing of Protections, but nothing really too lethal here. Maybe you can get a setback on healing, but again, nothing really too threatening. So, we're going to come in here. ULTIMA gets a really good opener here comparatively to the, beginning match that we covered. Yeah, this is just night and day. So we wait for Cassidy and Smite to get in combat on the Lock and the Paladin with the Rake Stun and the Intimidation on the Paladin. So we're going to be sending our, damage instantly. And we see Nethi here waiting in the sewers. So once we get in combat, he will heal Smite or Cassidy to get in combat from them, and then he will go for the Nullifying Shroud, making it so the rogue cannot stop him, cannot sap off his Shroud, so we get a really good opener here. And Preservation Evoker is just one of those healers that they probably benefit the most off of having a good opener. So we come in here, we go for the Oppressing Roar, again the Rake Stun on Mercy, Intimidation Stun on Lone Tar. We go for the Oppressing Roar. Oppressing Roar is a debuff that is applied. So for the next 8 seconds, all CC effects that are applied will be increased by 50%. So we come in here with the Oppressing Roar, we go into a deep breath, not a triple deep breath, just a single deep breath on the Paladin, and we go into a full Diamond Ice. You saw there, he had a 6-second Diamond Ice, and Diamond Ice is just brutal for BM Hunters because, again, it makes it so that trap cannot break. And with the Oppressing Roar, it'll increase its duration by another second. So naturally, it's 5 seconds. With this one, it's 6 seconds. So we're not dealing with that at all. We're going to be trinketed that instantly and going into our wings and going to, I believe, Blessing and Sacrifice here. Yes, a Blessing and Sacrifice into our wings and just kind of topping our team here, responding correctly to their CDs. Now, maybe you could be maybe be a little bit nitpicky for some greedy healers. Lone Tar isn't really a greedy healer. He likes to respond, pretty much instantly when certain stuff happens. Maybe you could have cleansed the Oppressing Roar once he came out of that Deep Breath stun. Cleanse the Oppressing Roar. Divine Seed, get away, either come down here to the stairs or come down to the right over here to evade the Deep Breath stun and only getting Diamond Ice trapped for 5 seconds instead of the 6 seconds that we had with the Oppressing Roar. And maybe with that, I mean, does Mercy die in that window? I don't really know. Maybe we could agree to the trinket out and then just kind of go into our sack wings outside of that without really having to give up trinket. But he's on full stun DR, so most likely it would have been a blind, or sorry, not a blind. Maybe we could have gone cycloned or even sleepwalked off of that. So a bit more sketchy of a play. Again, it's just kind of like nitpicking some stuff, but it's a good trade. It's a good trade. The trinket into the wings, into the sacrifice. Oh, shit, I sneezed, sorry. So yeah, very standard stuff here. Again, this is an opener, but we got a good opener for ULTIMA, but outside of that crazy CC setup, nothing really is happening too much here. No one really has the clear advantage. Everyone's taking damage. We're healing fine through there. We haven't gone for a good Searing Glare window, which is kind of unfortunate because we did. It just didn't show us on cooldown for some reason. So CDs to work with. Get Cycloned here. Nothing really too threatening. We tried out the Unending Resolve for the Warlock, so he's gonna be nice and healthy. We get a Fear onto Nethi, which is actually really good. Because of that, we were able to force off the Exhilaration, and I believe the Feign Death as well. So yeah, we force off 2 pretty defensive cooldowns here for the Hunter off of that Fear. Very nice. Now it seems here we stabilize, and we do find the bit of reverse pressure with Lone Tar, Blizzo, and Mercy onto the Feral Druid here. We see Mercy is kind of just fine. We have Dark Pact coming. We have a Demonic Hellstone Dark Pact coming up. Now, here's the unfortunate thing here. So we go into a Hellstone, into a Dark Pact. I don't know if that was a empowered Hellstone, but you'll see some Warlocks do this, where they'll go into a Hellstone, and they'll go into a Dark Pact immediately after that. So what does Dark Pact actually do? Dark Pact will sacrifice 20% of your current health, not your maximum health, current health, to shield you for an Absorb shield of 200% of the health that you did sacrifice. So ideally, you want to use this while you're above like 80% HP, so you'll get, you know, really high value Dark Pact. If you use it anywhere below that, you'll kind of be like a little piss Dark Pact. Nothing really too crazy. So we go into a cookie, and we don't Dark Pact into this. So what ends up happening is that we put Dark Pact and Healthstone on a separate cooldown. So in the unfortunate situation that our Paladin or our healer is CC'd, we have really no peels, and we need to trade something, you're not going to have Healthstone and Dark Pact. So unless you're not full HP already, you're going to get a pretty whack value Dark Pact, and it has lost a lot of Warlocks to game in AWC and just on ladder. So kind of a little thing to point out there. So, but you know, it looks like we're not really too threatened here. So yeah, you see how he Hellstoned and then Dark Pact immediately. He Dark Pact here, and it did like nothing. It absorbed legit nothing. So we have Smite going in for a Binding Shot, hits Blizzo instead. We have Cassidy pushing in here. So we go for a Hodge on Cassidy, which is actually a pretty good Hodge. I do think he gets the spells kind of instantly. Gets the spelled half. Because Cassidy was pushing in, we look for the Hodge. I mean, we couldn't connect for a kidney shot with Blizzo because he was stunned. So maybe we just go for the cleanse on Blizzo and go for a kidney onto Cassidy instead of Hodging. Maybe. Not really too sure. So I think we end up doing like a really bad bop here. So this was really awkward. I guess he was looking for pre-bop too, because again, we did have Maim coming off cooldown, but we don't really have any real damage. We don't have Beast of Wrath up. We don't have you know, Bloodshed, I don't believe. So I don't really know what the whole point of this bop was. Maybe there was some debuff or some bleed that the Feral Druid had that was gonna randomly do 1,000,000 damage. I'm not too sure, but we tried out the bop here. Also, the Hunter walls like air, I believe. No, he's taking a lot of damage. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. Okay, that was a good wall. So yeah, this bop was definitely questionable. I'm not really too sure, especially because we're not in CC. Again, I'm assuming he was looking for a pre-bop, but again, just kind of nitpicking here. So we're going for a bit of offensive damage here. We're going for the Fire Breath. We get feared on it, so thank God he was looking to purge off the bop, but we get feared on it. Smite is really playing passively here. Blizzo is doing a good job of just making sure this Hunter is not going to be getting free reign to just kind of push in, look for these traps, look for these scatters onto our Paladin. So, I mean, you see here Blizzo just bullying this guy. So the minute Smite comes off, tries to, you know, peek his head around the corner, Blizzo is just immediately on his ass. So right here, we're looking for pressure on Mercy. Now that Blizzo is kind of hanging back here, Smite is able to push in now because he thinks that we have pressure on Cassidy. We tried out the time dilation, and because of this reverse pressure, we were able to get Smite back in here. We get a counter shot onto Lone Tar, Intimidation Stun, and a Freezing Trap on top of Lone Tar. So Lone Tar does not play around here. He goes for the immediate bubble, and he goes for the Blessing of Protection onto Mercy. And so he bubbles the trap, he goes onto the Blessing of Protection. We also Smoke Bomb here to try and keep the Hunter and Dragon out, but I mean, they immediately step into here, so very sketchy. But yes, this was a great trade. I mean, bubble into Blessing of Protection. We have no wall, no Dark Pact. Dark Pact just came off cooldown. Yeah, this was a definitely nasty trade. So this honestly could have ended here. The game could have ended right here if we were still in Forbearance. If this whole encounter happened any bit sooner, the Forbearance from this Blessing of Protection, the whack Blessing of Protection on Mercy here, would have cost him the game. They would have died. He would have bubbled, and he would have tried to lay on hands and do nothing because he'd be on Forbearance. So they would have legit lost the game there if that encounter happened any bit sooner. Luckily, it didn't, and we were able to, you know, have Forbearance come off and we were able to go into our second bop onto Mercy. So going to the bop, I believe he gets purged off by the hunter when he runs in from into the smoke one. Yeah, he gets purged off. He goes into a dark pact. Again, the whole thing, as I said, having Hellstone and having dark pact on on separate cooldowns really screws it over. You see here he dark pacts and it gives him legit nothing. He goes for a good Howl Terror though. Again, they're all stacked up into Smoke Bomb. He goes with the Howl Terror onto the Dragon, onto the Hunter, onto Cassidy. And you see here we have reverse pressure onto Cassidy here. So again, it's anyone's game currently. We only have Lay on Hands as our next cooldown. We have Sacrifice too. No cooldowns available for Mercy other than Demonic Hellstone, and Blizzo is not the kill target, so I mean Evasion, Cloak of Shadows, yeah, we're pretty much fine on Blizzo. For here, we are down CDs as well. We have nothing for the Cassidy. We have nothing for Smite other than Turtle, which, I mean, again, turtling against an Aflock and an Acid Rogue, you better be turtling at like above 50% or else you're just going to die. You're going to die through it. And then we only have Emerald Communion for Nethi, and luckily we have a rescue. So very good stuff here. We have some stuff to work with here. So Mercy is going to look for a Demonic Gateway poured out, and luckily Lontar follows along with him, and Cassidy is just bulldozing through. Now this is sketchy. Why? Because look what's happening, alright? Look at the CDs we have. Look what we're working with. Smite is almost dead. He's standing next to Nethi. Cassidy pushes in. I believe Cassidy probably thought in his mind that he is able to guarantee kill this Warlock, which, I mean, no Incarn, no main stun, no Mighty Bash. At least I don't think he does. Yeah, I don't know what he's smoking on to believe that he can kill this Warlock by coming in here. So he overextends. Nethi is not with him yet. He does blink in. He rescues the Hunter to get closer. For not only the Hunter to give him the Absorb Shield to rescue, but also to get closer. I really would have liked to see Nethi rescue Cassidy instead, because guess what happens? We find that we have nothing. We legit have nothing. We have no counter pressure. We have no CC. Maybe we could have gotten a decent binding shot here. Other than that, we had nothing. So again, we try and charge up the Dream Breath, and Cassidy just falls over. So if we were to simply just get closer, I don't know if we had another hover charge or not. If we were to get closer, rescue Cassidy instead of rescuing the Hunter to give him the Absorb Shield and to move a bit closer, I believe maybe, I mean, it would have been close, but I mean, we're right here. So we're over here. We blink in with the Chrono Warden talent. And yeah, we should have just rescued Cassidy instead of rescuing the Hunter here, because this is close enough to where we can actually rescue Cassidy and go away. So not really sure why we rescued the Hunter, but yeah, we rescued the Hunter, and unfortunately Cassidy, because of that, dies without anything. We have no wall, no nothing. Emerald Communion just came off cooldown right as he died. You see here, 1 second off of Emerald Communion. Yeah, so definitely, throughout the entire game, it was really anyone's game. They both had pressure. They both found reverse pressure windows. But Lontar and, the disruption of Blizzo, making sure that the Hunter doesn't really push in as often for these traps or these scatters, really just separated him from Cassidy. And of course, just made it so he couldn't really peel for Cassidy whenever he needed to. I mean, going for defensive traps, binding shots, tar traps, anything to really get them off of Cassidy. Couldn't really do it so well. So again, Blizzo, definitely MVP here. Lontar responded instantly to, scary situations. Again, getting trapped off, he instantly bubbles, he instantly trinkets. So good response time from Lontar. So very sketchy moments, but again, Bleach Bones does come out on top. So good job on them. Again, very nice game. And now we'll go over the final match. Final match, we have ScreamerZone.gg versus Echo. Now, what are the two main, strengths and weaknesses we're going to be seeing here? We're going to be seeing Waz do his Waz thing. I'm sure he doesn't really do too much damage, but he controls the game. Anytime we try to make advancements, especially on our goes, he is so quick to shut down the Hunters, quick down to shut down the Incarnation. Chanimal is never going to die. He doesn't die. He does the most damage. He baits every single kick in all of existence, and he's super slippery. And then Mex does a lot of things. Mex is a very aggro Disc Priest, which is kind of really the only real way to play Disc Priest. So we have a very shining star roster here. Now, in terms of StreamerZone.gg, again, we're looking for the kill windows. We're looking for, the real force of cooldowns during our Incarnation and our Bestial Wrath. Now, because we have a lot of cooldowns to burn through, we don't really have a lot of consistent damage. the only one who could do damage on this team is the Feral Druid, even without Incarnation. The Hunter is not really going to be able to do a whole lot. Again, BM Hunter, all really is tick damage. During Call of the Wild is when they only have kill pressure, or really any pressure at all. Outside of that, they're kind of doing nothing. So it's really up to the Feral to kind of be as oppressive as you can with damage, but not only going for again Cyclones on off targets. So it's gonna be a pretty difficult matchup here throughout the game, but we'll see what happens here. I believe Waz gets caught out in the open here. I don't know if he's like trying to I don't know what he's doing here, but maybe he's like taunting them or something, but he gets caught out by the Hunter. So unfortunate. We get a scatter shot onto Waz, we get an intimidation stun, and then we get a freezing trap onto Mex here. I believe we do not have yeah, that Shadow Step was almost awesome. If we were to Shadow Step and actually eat the trap instead of Mex, could have been pretty great. Now we're running normal trap here, so I believe Casu, I don't know what honor talents he's running. I know he's running Chimeral Sting, assuming he'd be running Survival Tactics. I don't know what his last talent is. Maybe it's Kindred Beast, but he's not running Diamond Ice because it's not a close quarters map, so, you know, traps are not really going to break as often because I'm not really going to be getting hit by Cleave, so he's opting to take normal Freezing Trap. So we're opening up on Chanimal here. We instantly send the Dark Pact immediately once Tony opens up. We go for the Demonic Circle port, and we do gouge Tony on his Incarnation, and Chanimal's going to do Chanimal things of just kind of making this Druid's life miserable. I don't know why we go this way. I believe he goes this way because he doesn't want to get feared off by the Priest. So Casu's actually doing a really good job here of controlling the Hunter, or sorry, controlling the Rogue. So again, the Binding Shot, the Tar Trap. He also tries to Shadow Step to Relza, and he gets an instant fear. Like, you saw that. He like predicted what was going to happen. You see here, he comes off of the Tar Trap, he goes to the Shadow Step, and immediately, boom, fears. Like, he feared before he even got there. So like, Relza, I don't know if they like stream sniping or something. I don't know. But Relza with a beautiful DR Fear. Now, because this is Shadow Blades onto Waz, he trinkets immediately to go for the cheap shot, I believe, on Relza. He comes in. Mex gets a Fear on Casu, so again, he's not running the Fear immunity talent known as Beast Within to make him immune to Fear so long as Bestial Wrath is active, or for 8 seconds, I guess. So he's feared here, and we are opening on Tony for this bit here. Again, stopping, making sure he's not really getting any bit of damage, making sure he's not going for any Cyclones. So we have 100 cooldowns now, called Wild and Bestial Wrath, so you see what Waz is going to do. Waz is going to go, move away from Tony, and he's going to try and stop Casu as much as he can. So again, the gouges, simply just hitting him. Now, I don't know what Chanimal does here, but I mean, we have all cooldowns. We have Soul Rot, we have Dark Glare, his Haunt. I believe he coils as well, maybe? He coils, yeah, coils offensively onto Tony, and you see he just almost drops in the opener. We have no pain suppression. This is off pain suppression when it ended. We tried out the Rapture here, so we're already looking very good on the side of Echo. We haven't forced anything. I mean, we don't have Unending Resolve forced. We didn't force, we didn't force the Evasion Vanishes or Cloak of Shadows. We only have forced Rapture. So again, that's Call of the Wild is about to end. We have no Incarnation. All these two cooldowns managed to force is Rapture. That's not good. Compared to our cooldowns, we forced Exhilaration, we forced Roar Sacrifice, we forced the Barkin Renewal. Not too good. Not too good on the side of StreamerZone.gg. So we're coming here. We're still trying to sit on Chanimal here. Mex is standing very close to Chanimal, so I mean, it could be sketchy. He could be easily maim stunned, easily bashed, easily controlled, scattered, trapped. We do get precog though. Because we get that precog, we go into a very big Ultimate Penitence. Now, it's not really that great because Tony and Casu do line, so you're not really going to get any damage off of it. But at least we immune to CC, so nothing really too scary here on the side of Mex. Kind of like a dog, kind of a weak penitence if you really ask me. So Relza goes for his own ultimate penitence here, and it does some decent stuff here. It's bullying Chanimal here. You see there, it's kind of bulldozing Chanimal that the entire time. That's really the only reason why his health even significantly dropped at all. Relza is actually doing more damage than Mex, which is kind of crazy. So again, we're going to be sitting on Chanimal most of this game. We get precog on Mex. We're going for Mind Blast. You see here, Waz is doing a good job of controlling the healer. We get a kidney shot onto Tony. Again, making sure he's not really getting any bit of offensive pressure off. Now, you see here off of that cheap shot, Mex is going to go and try and get a fear. Unfortunately, he doesn't make it in time, but he's still going to sit here and try and bully Relza from pushing in and really trying to save his team, pushing in for his own fears. So we got Chimeral Sting. We're pushing it a bit closer because he didn't want to get feared off from the other priest. He's going for a mind control on Waz. So again, good disruption. What Waz normally does, disrupting the enemy team on their CDs, on their goes, we're doing that for Waz. We're disrupting Waz on his goes. Again, his Shadow Blades, Mind Control, the Scatters, the Tar Traps. So good job on the side of Relza and Casu. Now, Mex is playing very far distance. He's playing near, right here, near the gateway and near the demonic circle. You don't want to be away from the demonic circle as a healer, because if that the situation where your warlock does need to port and you're not near your warlock, guess what? It's a race to see who can get your warlock first. Either you or the enemy. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the enemy, and your warlock's going to die. So he's playing near the demonic circle in case it is a poor angle to make sure that we are getting Chanimal topped up here. Again, Waz is just putting the brakes on Tony, putting the brakes on Casu here. He's soloing Tony right now, and Relza is playing max distance. We do get the step kick into the gouge. Do we have anything off of that, though? No fear. We get a blind. No fear off that, I don't believe so. So, here's the awkward bit here. We have our priest getting spam CC'd here. You saw there, we got cheaped, we got gouged, we got blinded, and we're not doing anything to stop this. So we have the priest and the rogue having full reign on our healer. We're not doing anything. We have Casu and Tony standing here. I get it, we get stunned here, but at this moment, there's no reason to be here. We're not going to kill Chanimal. What we're going to do, we got to pull back. We got to stop this rogue from pushing in onto our priest to get the CC off. So luckily, we didn't have a coil up, because if we had a coil up, I mean, this could have been even more dangerous. But, you know, we get cheap-shotted here, and luckily, they don't really have any real pressure here, other than just simply dots rolling and ticking on them. And fortunately, because we're not stopping the CC chains, we're going to have to force out the turtle for Casu, and it goes away. Now, why is it going away? He's pulling back all the way to this pillar. Guess what? His pet's dead. So you'll see in a second here, he'll go for the res pet. Now we go for the smoke bomb to see if we can try and kill Tony. But I believe this is our dome. This is Mex's dome here. I don't know if we really need to trade out the dome here. I guess, yeah, you really didn't need. I don't know what this dome was really for, or unless it was the priest dome. So okay, so that's the priest domes. That's the priest dome. This is Mex's dome. I don't really know why we traded out dome here. There's really nothing really threatening going on here. So you see here, Casu was trying to go for the res pet, and immediately Waz sees this. Immediately Waz sees this, goes to step cheap shot, and he does not let off of Relza, or sorry, let off of Casu for this entire time here. You see here, he gets cheap shotted again. He gets gouged. It's just brutal. He gets gouged, and I believe he gets DR gouged. No, he gets DR gouged. This is just brutal. So he cannot get his pet back up, and we wasted like 10 seconds trying to get our pet back up. Tony's dying. You know, we have no pressure, and now because we're in this position where we're going back to our own starting area, guess what? Chanimal is free to push up more. Now he's going to go for a bit more damage. Really, he's just trying to kind of move away, kind of be slippery. Now that we're in a better position, he's going to go for a bit more offense. Now he does go back and port away. He's not trying to give Tony or Casu any good angles. And like, he's just dying, he's just dead. It's crazy. He's not even doing anything. So Tony's falling behind here. Relza is with him. Casu. We're in a kind of like a standard spread situation. You know, point A, point A, point A, point B, point C. And we are pushing with Tony, and Casu is playing super far behind. He's going to try and make sure that Waz doesn't really get these CC chains onto Relza, so that's why he's standing near Relza. So good on Casu. And Tony's the only one who's able to push in, but I mean, just simply the Feral Druid is not enough to really force anything off of Chanimal. So we're seeing this pattern where we're sitting Chanimal and nothing's happening. We're not stopping any damage. You see here, Chanimal is just top damage by legit miles. We're not stopping any damage. We're not even forcing any cooldowns. He hasn't even walled yet. I don't think he's walled at all this whole time. He hasn't even walled yet. So we're not forcing anything off of Chanimal. What are we going to do? Do we maybe just sit on a rogue this whole time? Because we're not stopping any damage, we're not forcing any CDs. Do we sit on the rogue? You know, it's going to be a bit easier for the hunter to sit on the rogue, because the rogue is going to be the one who's going to be pushing in for the CC chains. Maybe the hunter sits on the rogue, maybe the feral sits on Chanimal, if we can find a good swap opportunity onto Waz. You know, bash into clone on the warlock, and then maybe a scatter trap onto the priest, and then we send on the rogue. Maybe. We have no evasion, we have no vanish, we have no cloak of shadows. Maybe it could be a good rogue opportunity. I don't know. But sitting on Chanimal is not working. Nothing's being achieved here. You know, we're simply dying. I mean, look at the mana difference. We're probably like what, this is like what, 20% mana, this is about like 30 something percent mana, 40% mana, so we're super ahead right now, and we have more CDs to work with. We have no pain suppression, no dome, Rapture just got traded out, and for mech we still have pain suppression, we have life swap, and we have Archangel and Rapture currently going off, so we are super ahead right now. We dispel an unstable affliction, and because we're in that silence, we're going to get gouged off. Unfortunately, we're going to get feared off as well. Yeah, I don't know what we did. I believe we cleansed off a mortal coil. Who got coiled here? Was it Tony? Or was it Kasu? Tony gets coiled here. That was really bad. I don't know. Was that really a good dispel? I'm pretty sure we just sit it because there's no really damage rolling out, nor do we have damage on our side to, you know, try and force anything on Waz. So, again, no Call of the Wild, no Incarn, no nothing. So maybe we could have just sat the coil for that 3 seconds. Instead, we dispel it, we get the backlash, and because of that backlash, Waz sees us instantly, and he tries to go for the gouge right off the silence. Gouge, double fear. Oh, it's a nightmare. Relza is forced to trinket. His Rapture steals are still going off, and then this is where the unfortunate bit happens. So we're going off for big power shields here onto Tony. Gives him precog, and now Chanimal's going to be ripping it. We have Soul Rot going. We have a lot of damage going on to Tony. Goes to the bear form, and Tony, I mean, this is the world that Feral Druid live in. If you can't be oppressive, you can't be, you know, the real heavy hitters in this matchup, guess what you're doing? You're sitting in bear form the whole time, spamming Frenzied Regen. And that's one of the worst things ever to experience as a Feral Druid, as really any DPS, when you literally can't do anything. You can't, you know, peek out in the open, you're just dying the whole game, you're playing super defensively, you're not able to go for damage. It sucks. So Tony's definitely facing a pretty downward battle right now. So we go into the lunge, the wild charge onto Waz, and this is the unfortunate situation here. So luckily we get the premonition of Solus onto Waz, onto Tony, which gives him a pretty decent shield here and 50% damage reduction. And that's really the only reason why he's able to survive this smoke bomb. But unfortunately, I believe this is a cheap shot or kidney shot. No, it's a kidney shot. We are kidney shotted. We get cheap shotted, and we just fall down here. We just die. The binding shot comes a bit too late. It should have been. I mean, if you're really trying to peel here, again, Tony is in CC. He's stunned. He has no trinkets, so he's just dead here. So either we try to run in here as fast as we can. Again, Angelic Feather, getting into this smoke bomb, spamming something. It could be a penance, it could be a power shield, whatever it is, something. Again, that's very bad for healers to do. I mean, that's what kills me and my team most of the time, is me running into smoke bomb. If I absolutely have to, there's no other choice, I'll do it. But if I can hold off on that, I'm not going to run into smoke bomb, because guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be cheap shotted, I'm going to be kidney shotted, I'm going to be blinded. I'm not going to be able to actually press anything once I get in there, because the rogue knows I'm going to be rushing in there. So Hunter maybe goes for a binding shot. If we're running explosive trap, maybe we can binding shot, explosive trap the rogue way, force him to get caught by the binding shot and he gets stunned, maybe. But other than that, there's really no, maybe even trap, defensively freezing trap, to buy you some time. But that's really the only things I can think of to really buy you any bit of saving grace for Tony. Fortunately, nothing happens, and Tony does fall down here. So, very unfortunate. We did go for the fear, but again, it wasn't enough. So, Echo just puts the brakes on StreamerZone.gg, much like they've done to many of the other contenders in AWC. And there you have it, guys, my breakdown on the AWC games. I know I'm not the best, I may not have the best kind of breakdown commentary, but hopefully, you know, at some point in this video, you learned something from what I said and what I covered in the video. And let me know if you really want to see a different breakdown. Maybe instead of going for, you know, the final round of each of these matches, maybe I can focus on a complete series versus this team, covering all 3, all 4, all 5 matches that they played, instead of going for, you know, the final round out of each of these. So if you want to see that, make sure to leave a like rating down below and comment if you do really want to see the switch up of that kind of style of these videos. But alas, hopefully when we all come to our unfortunate ends, I hope to see you guys in the next life. Alright, peace.
My favorite kind of music. Black rock and roll, of course. The Laughing Skull Clan booed me off the stage at the comedy club. With a name like that, you'd think they'd have a sense of humor.